I'd like to begin in with the words of Niels Bohr, a very famous quote behind me on the screen. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. Now, let's tie that statement in, one of the most profound discoveries of the modern age of science and physics, into exactly what we read in Hebrews 11, beginning in verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. For by faith we understand that the worlds were formed by the Word of God. It was with words that these worlds were formed. So that the things which are seen are made of the things which are unseen. And if we head over here to Nikola Tesla, who lived from 1856 to 1943, who famously stated, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, then think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. God says life and death are in the power of the tongue. The word of faith is near you. It is even in your mouth. These are all scriptures that I learned when my mother had terminal cancer and was given 3 months to live. And she rejected the doctor's report. She covered the house in faith scriptures, and she went around. She didn't just think I'll be healed, but she went around all day and she spoke those scriptures. And more than this, just declared all day, I am healed. By the end of 6 months, they wrote on her file that she was unexplainably healed of an ovarian cancer that had spread all throughout her body. It was the size of a cantaloupe. Without further ado, this video is titled The Frequency.
So it depends where you're at to actually be able to interpret the frequencies, and they can be projected through the television, through the music, and they can actually start to become like a relay. They start to just play over, and they can affect people very, very dramatically. But it's basically like the entities that are using frequencies to communicate. And so basically inside of our minds, we'll start to have thoughts. These aren't actually our thoughts. These are frequencies coming through entities. I can also think that these frequencies can move through people. If you've got someone speaking over you continuously, and they actually are consumed or are being tormented by that frequency, they can actually release death through their mouth. So they can actually project frequencies. So they can be the influence of an entity moving through someone. And we've all had that, we've all had that bully that's basically said terrible things to us, like blah, 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 continuously. And we actually start to believe that.
Now, a lot of people have forgotten some of these parts of American history, but John G. Lake, seen an old photograph behind me, lived from 1870 to 1935. I've got a complete collection of his life teachings here. In roughly 1915, coming back from South Africa, I was a minister in South Africa, Dr. Lake set up the healing rooms in Spokane, Washington, and in Portland, Oregon. Now, the Better Business Bureau had come because they believed John G. Lake must be committing fraud because there were so many people that were healed of terminal diseases coming from Lake's ministry, specifically in Spokane, Washington. Yet when they came to investigate, the very people that had come to investigate him for fraud ultimately determined that Spokane, Washington, and Portland, Oregon were 2 of the healthiest cities in the world because of the presence of John G. Lake. He would describe what he felt was the actual substance of the Spirit of God going from himself, out of him, into them, and could be felt as almost a frequency or vibration making them whole as the healing was happening, was often what Lake described. There are many that believe that the demonic itself operates through frequencies, that there's a realm right as close as the air between your fingertips when you reach out into empty space, both light and dark. And that the demonic itself, well, voices that come through people's head, or even low-level frequencies and vibrations that could cause people to be tense and upset, to be violent, to go out and steal, kill, or destroy, that these frequencies, these feelings and emotions, these tense, dark feelings and emotions, that people might convince themselves or their own internal thoughts or feelings are actually external, what could be called demonic frequencies, which are literally impacting their lives and directing them to do very dark things. In the world of music, many have pointed out that the frequency of 432 hertz, the tuning frequency, was changed by the devil's tune, if you will, to 440 hertz. There are even allegations that this was done in cahoots. These are conspiracy or the edge of. Maybe there's truth to some of these things in music and medicine and so on and so forth. To 440 hertz, a more tense tuning frequency. It is no conspiracy that great destruction can be done with frequencies. In fact, certain frequencies can throw entire armies down to their knees. What's being argued in this film is that frequencies can also be used to very mystical properties frequencies have to them. In fact, this entire place is like a dancing set of little particle pixels, just dancing vibrations, which make up the fabric of what we call the material world or reality itself. And that within that material world, not only can some frequencies pinpoint to cause weapon-like destruction, but can also lift up and can heal. So you can okay, so what would this be doing to you, Robert, right now?
Reducing inflammation, speeding up glutathione, and just kind of putting energy into all the cells so they can speed up the healing process.
Right here with the lasers actually making crosses on his hands is my friend Robert Agee, who just finished doing a tour looking at some of the founders of this nation. Put your arm out really strong like that, and I'm going to try to push down on it, okay? And just keep it strong, and you can hold it up like that. Now, what I thought we could start in with here is something that likely many of you watching never even knew existed, something a little bit spooky about reality, something that I didn't know before a couple of months ago even existed. So what we're doing right here on the top of Table Mountain, where I'm having her hold her arm out, this is called a muscle test. Now let's just put our hand, like our palms out together, like this. I'm going to push down with the same strength, and your arm became weak, right? Now what we've got, as I turn my hands this way, we've got the same symbol. So I'm trying, she's holding her arm out strong, and I'm pushing her arm down, but we've got the same symbol. So you could do a palms out facing at each other, or a fist bump, or a peace sign coming at each other. And between people, this is called a frequency match, that it's actually making her arm weak when we're pointing the same symbol at each other. Now I'm going to pull it away. Now see if it's stronger. Can you feel the difference? Watch. You can feel it go down immediately, can't you? It's strange, isn't it? It's strange, isn't it? The first place I ever learned this was from this man here. His name is Dr. Kyson Frank, actually named, he believes, after the Kyson River in Israel.
Stay there.
Okay.
Because we may have too many people too close. See all these energy fields here start collecting there. Now let's see if you find it. Sometimes just figuring out the housekeeping of how to go through and do all that.
Now on the screen right here, this is a friend of mine named Andrew, and I can't emphasize enough that what I'm presenting to you right here a few months ago, I didn't even know that something like this existed. These kits that you see down here, he's got his hand on, this is going to turn out to contain small vials. Each one contain, and all these shelves contain kits with many of these small vials that contain programmed frequencies in them.
Something in there, but yes. You got that one? Yep. So if you take it out, okay, nothing else there. So this is what he found. You hold that in that hand for me.
Okay.
Do a muscle test on him. Hold it up there and see if he goes weak with it.
Okay. This entire facility and office that we're in, this is in Wichita, Kansas, is where this footage, where this filming took place. This entire facility and this entire office, or large portions thereof, deals with frequencies.
Okay, let me see it.
Okay, hold on.
Hold.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it's a little weird.
So hold again.
Okay, now let me hold. Whoops.
Hold again.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. What happened there is, well, let me explain to you, to the best of my knowledge, what's occurred there and what you just watched. So all of these trays that he has in his office there, he's got different types of these. And these small vials have programmed in frequencies that are of different organs of the body, and also different ailments of the body are programmed in these little vials. Well, I'm not holding the thing in my hand, this vial he has. I'm able to hold my arm up strong. When I put the vial with this frequency in it in my hand, literally I can't hold the arm up the same way I could before. That's exactly what just happened.
Frequency match. I'll give you an example of this, something very generic here. So hold your arm up good and strong for me. Okay, hold. Just give me a thumbs up or a peace sign or something, generic that you'd wave at somebody or whatever else. So I like a peace sign because it's different than what most people do. Okay, so while you're holding that there, hold. Okay. Good, strong. Now if I bring the exact same frequency, and we have two frequencies next to each other, hold.
Okay. Oh, wow. Look at that. So literally while I was doing that, and you can probably do this at home, right?
Oh, yeah.
You could do this at home. What I just did is that when we were putting the same symbol up together, that it actually caused my other arm to become incredibly weak. And this is something you can stop this video and that you can do right now at home before you come back and hit play. I'm going to do this one time here right in front of the camera using my wife's arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to push down on her arm, and she's going to hold the arm up really tight, and just with two fingers she can hold it up really well. Now we're both going to come in, we're going to do the peace symbol with the other hand, okay, and we're going to bring this side by side, and now I'm going to begin to pull down on your arm. And the arm is really easy to pull down now. And on your side of the screen, you're probably thinking to yourself, they just made that up, that can't be real. And that's why I'd really actually encourage you to actually try that before continuing too far in the video. What I'm literally expressing to you is that, and this plays a role in the directions that we're going and some of the aspects of this film, is that there are forces, there are invisible forces that are between people, and the moment that they're, and this is called a positive, this is called a frequency match. So if you were using different symbols, if I had a fist bump and she had her palm out, it wouldn't work. But there are forces between people right in here that detect that we've got the same symbol up, that we've got the same frequency match, and at that moment it's making the other party or both parties actually weakened by that invisible frequency match. It's the oddest thing, but it is in fact real. So I was able to hold it up with the sign, and he pushed down and my arm was up. The moment he did the same thing, I could not hold the arm up. And I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, it's frequency matching. So if we can have a frequency and I can hold it up next to your body and you go weak, that tells us that it's having resonance with the same frequency in your body.
Wow. Wow.
So in this case here, your priority issue is, I don't know if you want to record it or not, but
Okay.
that's your number one issue you're dealing with, something in.
So now what that actually turned out to be in the vial that we're holding there, the actual frequency which made me go weak. When I was holding that small vial with the frequency in my hand that made my arm go weak, actually turned out to be, and this is interesting because Dr. Kyson Frank would not have known this, and neither would most of the people, save for maybe my wife in the room, that it turned out to be a gut issue. And I'd actually had a surgery, small surgery, just a short time actually before recording this tape. So tell me about these laser beams. What do the laser beams do? What is it that it is? What are they doing? Why are the laser beams on? What are they doing?
So the laser beam's on, the laser's coming out in the light, and it has a certain frequency to it. Much like the frequencies that we have in a lot of the medicines, you can actually program frequencies into a laser and put it in a light source. And so what we're doing here with this one is actually stimulating the mitochondria to speed them up so they produce more ATP and energy in the cells so it can heal faster and get rid of toxins quicker. So, or boost glutathione, which is your master antioxidant.
Wow. These examples that I have behind me dealing with frequency and human emotion and the extreme impacts that our emotions between even people, but even plants and other objects actually have in this place.
For the next month, I'm going to love this rice. Send it some love. Just think love. And with this rice, I'm going to think hate, horrid, hate it, evil rice. That's going to be the only difference between these two identical containers of rice.
In this jar, they've written on there, I hate you. This is rice in these jars. And they'll take that jar and they'll tell it that they hate it and they'll say mean, angry words to it. Then they'll put that jar back where they're keeping it. And they'll pull out the other jar which says I love you, and they'll tell it kind, loving, and comforting things and put that jar back.
So this is day 13. I dropped this little jam jar of rice, but I think you can see that's gone really bad. It's gone disgustingly bad. Liquid on the bottom. And there's this rice. This honestly still looks good enough to eat. 13 days of love and 13 days of negative energies.
Now, in this experiment, they're at day 27, and you can see the mold and the decay on the I hate you jar. Isn't it stunning how the Lord made this place? And over here you see on the I love you jar that it's still pretty fluffy and fresh. These rice jars behind me in this experiment. What is
That being said here, so where is the skin issue at here? Something over the gut here. Now the question is it inside skin or outside skin? Do you know what I mean by that?
No.
So where does the skin start and where does it end?
I don't know.
It goes down your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it go inside your cheek? Is that skin inside your mouth?
Oh, it starts at the mouth.
I know, but does it go inside your mouth and your cheek on the inside? Is that skin?
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes down your throat? That's still skin, right?
Yes.
Goes down your small intestines? That's still skin, right?
Yeah.
So understand that everything that goes through your digestive tract is technically outside your body. It's passing through a tube that's going through your body, but it's technically outside your body. So your skin starts here, goes all the way down through the digestive tract, back out the cheeks, and around the body again. So it has no starter in there. So when we're testing the skin, anytime we have digestive issues in the gut, guess what? It starts to appear on the outside of the skin. We see eczema and all these other things people deal with that are all relating back to gut issues.
Okay.
Make sense? Yeah. So for here, so if you're going to hold that there,
Okay.
and what we're going to do is we're going to scan that. Do you want to do it or you want me to do it?
You do it.
How do you?
Okay. So I'm going to pick the frequencies up in relation to you. So I'm gathering these up so I don't get any more. Okay, I'm not picking anything else up. I'm snapping for you can hear it. Normally I don't do that. Then what I do is I say, okay, I got the frequencies. What in the room is going to fix that? So there's something over here, excuse me.
Okay. Wow. This is the most curious thing I've ever seen. Here in this experiment, we have two plants. I'm going to move my Nikola Tesla. He's kind of appropriate for what we're going to be talking about with energies in just a moment here. talking about energies. You know, it says it was with words that these worlds were formed. In Genesis, the first pages of Genesis, it says, and God spoke, and God spoke, and God spoke. It was with words that these worlds were formed. This entire place is made of vibrations, frequencies. As men speak words of vibration that only go a matter of feet, perhaps God himself speaks substance. Here are the two plants on the screen behind me that these young ladies did the experiment on. This one here, they've said angry things to it, and you can see the plant has actually wilted inside of its case. On the other side, they spoke kind, loving, friendly words, playful words to the plant. They gave the plant praise, and the plant has flourished in these examples. These are actual examples.
Day 7. Day 8. Day 9. The effects of thought on reality. The difference between these two pieces of rice is that one has got bad negative energy going to it, and one's got love, good energy. The impact of consciousness on reality.
So if what we're looking at there is literally the effect of words, the impact of words that are going on rice, and I love you jar, and I hate you jar, if that's the effect on rice, and this also works on plants and other objects, including water, will have an effect from human emotion. But if that's the effect on rice, imagine the impact of words, both hateful words and loving words, on people. Well, all the principles that John G. Lake had were very, very similar to what occurred to my mother, who would be considered an evangelical, that's how I grew up, an evangelical Christian. When she was diagnosed as having terminal cancer, and I was just a child at this time, I really didn't understand what was going on. But many people in her family thought that she was behaving crazy, that she was in denial. The doctors kept stating that she was in denial because she would look at the reports, and by the way, doctors are wonderful. They're going off of what historically they have been taught in those medical classes, which is part of why I'm putting the video forward to you, because from their perspective, if it goes outside of that box, then it can't be real. She was stating with her entire being that she would be healed. She was taking those scriptures literally. Now, following my mother going through cancer and being healed of it, to a degree that the doctors were even a little offended because of the fact that it sort of flew in the face of the diagnosis that they had given, that this cancer would just literally vanish and go away. But she put faith scriptures all around the house, and she didn't just think them. She would literally, it would look like a crazy person. She would walk around the house and she would literally speak those scriptures of healing over herself. Here behind me is a quote from John G. Lake stating, "The Spirit of God goes as far as your love reaches. Love is the medium that conveys the Spirit of God to another soul anywhere on God's earth." Now, when Jesus was walking in a crowd and there was a lady that had an ailment, an illness, and she came up and she touched the hem of his garment, and he said, "I perceive that virtue, that something had left him which made her whole."
Do that. Then what I do is I say, okay, I've got the frequencies. What in the room is going to fix that? So there's something over here, excuse me.
Okay. Wow. This is the most curious thing I've ever seen.
We have patients come in for all over the world for this. All right, so
Really?
what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this between your feet. So this
Okay.
is your energy field.
Okay.
Okay? Hold that again. Hold
Okay.
your arm up, get it strong.
Okay.
Let me push down. You ready?
Okay. Okay, so what just happened there was the same vial that I couldn't hold the arm up before, and I'm not making this up.
No, you can't.
Yeah. So in this instance, what that was that he went and got, and he grabbed, and he put it down here. That's the jar of it. It's identical to this jar in my hand that he went and put at my feet. This is a Pro GI Soothe, is what it is. I take it now, and what's incredible is that my entire stomach and gut feels like iron cast when I began taking this. But he goes and he got that off of the shelf. I'm holding the vial up there in my hand that had the frequency in it that pointed him towards a gut health issue. And then when he put this down there between my legs, and there's frequencies in all of these things. So there's frequencies in the vial, and there's frequencies that come from the vitamins and minerals that are in this, or any of the other supplements that are in that room. But in this case, this particular one, immediately my entire being became strong.
So what happened was we put something in your energy field that changed your energy field so that this no longer has an effect on you.
Okay.
So what's in your environment makes a difference.
So what would that mean? What would be in this vial as you would describe it? How would you...
So the vial itself is just alcohol and water. It's called a homeopathic base. For that, we can infuse a frequency into it, and it'll hold that frequency. If you put it straight into water, it'll dissipate it over a few minutes. You have to have the alcohol in there to create a crystalline structure to hold that, and it'll last for years like that. So
the concepts that are being expressed here, and also the frequencies that are within those little vials, could be called what are known as Rife frequencies. This is work that goes all the way back to a man named, pictured here on the screen, Royal Raymond Rife. Lived from 1888, that's a cool sounding year, to 1971. He was an American inventor and invented the Rife machine. It produces energy similar to radio waves. Now the concept behind this is that all organisms produce frequencies, such as the frequencies that might be found and are found in minerals and health and good quality health supplements. Now, what Raymond Rife believed, or Royal Raymond Rife believed, is that diseases, particularly parasites are a big portion of disease, that these things can actually be targeted and killed or destroyed using frequencies. Now, as I began reading about this man, I found immediately that there were lots of negative articles put forth by the American Medical Association and others about the work that he had done. And that's always an enormous red flag to me, that immediately there's this negative shade cast over the entire body of work itself. But nonetheless, he did work with what are known today as Rife frequencies. That's what you would call, or what you could call, the frequencies that are in those vials. Now, interestingly enough, these clips behind me come from this man here. His name is Anthony Holland. These come from roughly a decade ago. And on the screen, he's going to show here a microorganism, basically what amounts to a parasite. He calls it a harmless one, being actually destroyed. That's what you're looking at on the screen. That this organism is being literally destroyed by focused frequencies. It's dissolving right there before you. Focused frequencies on the organism. And it's literally just dissolving right before your eyes. I find that TEDx talk a little bit interesting. Here on the back screen, this is my friend Greg Byron, who actually started the video. He was talking about people hearing frequencies or voices in their head, that the demonic work through frequencies, causing people to commit suicide, violent crimes, and other crimes could actually be caused by demonic frequencies, or just frequencies that interfere with their sound state of mind. This behind me on the screen, this is actual exorcism footage. This is actually less dramatic exorcism footage that's on the screen behind me. This particular piece comes out of South America. Now, it would be my position, I would argue this even to an atheist, that demonic possession is real. And I would argue also to Christians and anyone in general that it's actually far more prevalent than most people realize. that it just rarely takes the shape of something where a person becomes, in the course of a videotaped exorcism or deliverance session, is what you might call that, a literal zombie or a demon-possessed, zombified human being, like is what will occur to this woman on the screen back here. That, in fact, what a demonic possession is, by its very definition, is that there are voices coming to this lady here in such a fluid format, and that could be because of drugs, it could be because of drinking. In fact, alcohol itself used to be called spirits. Many people will have far too many drinks, and then they will wake up the next day and they'll say, oh my gosh, what did I do? I was a completely different person. Something else took over, as if that was a conduit for whatever it was to go in and wear that person literally like a glove, which is what is being stated is happening in a demonic possession. And that more than this, a voice is literally speaking through that person's mouth. Now, a voice, and that voice is coming from another realm, or specifically a demonic realm, and is going to speak through the human being's mouth. So, and a voice in and of itself, or by itself, is in fact a frequency. Voice is a frequency. And is making utterances, is now able to fluidly wear the person like a puppet and make utterances through their mouth. Well, whether a demon is a spiritual vampire or a spiritual parasite. I would also highly note that the messaging coming through the frequencies, or in this case the demonic possession, which literally speaking through the lips of this individual, the actual messaging coming through the frequencies is relevant. What is it wanting to state? So here on the screen, her son also had hair and still has hair. In the course of this demonic possession, one of the core topics of dialogue through the entire thing is that this demon wants men to be women and women to be men. The function of these, what we would call demonic frequencies, well, what does a demon do in a biblical context? Well, they come to do a few things. They come to kill, they come to steal, and they come to destroy, beginning with the very person that it's acting through, just like a parasite, a cancer, or a disease. But again, I would highlight out that in the case of this possession, as well as many others, that there's something like the image of the Baphomet, which is both masculine on one end, the masculine and the feminine. The feminine is to lure you in, and the masculine is to say, now I've got you. This behind me on the screen, this is riot footage that comes from Seattle, Washington. Now, the reason I play this is because when we think about demonic frequencies or demonic possession, we tend to think of those clips that I just played before, where you have a lady strapped to a bed or strapped to a chair and she's clearly demonically possessed. Yet when you're looking at a spirit that has taken over a mob, that has caused them to begin lighting cars or police cars on fire, or flipping them over, or causing damage to local homes or stores or other businesses, or on a more focused level, a spirit that could just overcome someone in a fit of rage, where they could cause violent crimes or actions, not even just solely to strangers, but even to loved ones, family members, members of their own household, or people the closest to them that they love most. Something that just comes over them like a frequency, a negative vibe that just is pushing them, like it would push an entire mob to go forth and commit violent acts. I'm laying in your hands that you have levels to demonic frequencies or demonic possessions that oftentimes we don't even notice, but that are almost ritualistically occurring on a regular basis in a large scale, or in a mob, that would be like in a corporate sense, or on a scale of an individual, sort of little miniature demonic possessions happening as fits of rage that commonly all of us, myself included, have come to interpret as our own internal thoughts, our own internal motivations, whether they be external, internal, or most likely a combination of both, coming together to push on the person or on the sets of people to terrorize entire areas. Demons are described as doing three things that should define what the spirit behind a mob, a riot, or a fit of rage is. They come to steal, kill, and destroy. On the back screen back here, this is called a Spooky 2. This is simply a rife machine. Now, Greg Byron took an interest in frequencies because he was a successful businessman that had moved from South Africa to Hawaii, where he lived, and he was beginning, and he didn't drink or use drugs, but he began hearing what he thought were voices that were just overcoming him. He believed that he was having a mental or a nervous breakdown, or that he might even be going crazy. He was hearing voices in his head.
I was able to discern that this wasn't me, and I knew I was in a fight. Well, anyway, that fight went on for 5 years. 5 years I heard those voices, and they would come because anything demonic, anything on a frequency comes on a certain pattern. It has a route. It has a legal pathway it will take. And so normally it's a time of the day, or normally it's like an incident, like people say PTSD, they hear a noise and it triggers. So it's normally on a pattern. Anyway, so these frequencies, these voices were horrendous. And yeah, through time, I was able to get delivered of them. Now, I want to preface this. I pray for many people that are going through the same type of thing and they've been delivered. But I would like to say they can be outward, like violent voices, telling people to hurt people, kill people. They can also be whisperers, call them whisperers. And I think a lot of people have whisperers in them. And they can be internal or external, but they're speaking a reverse of your destiny. And this is actually telling you to, like, oh, you're not worthy. You need to kill yourself. You're nothing. You're hopeless. Your life is terrible. And these are whispers, and these are frequencies that are able to penetrate. And these things are allowed in because you have not guarded your gates. Or potentially you have guarded your gates, but you've had external voices that have spoken those kind of things over your life. And God wants to redeem those non-godly demonic prophecies or words over your life, and He wants to redeem them. And honestly, I can tell you, if it doesn't, if it's not going to prosper you, if it's not going to prosper you, it's not going to strengthen you, it's probably not from God. So yeah, so that a lot of young people are dealing with this type of frequency, and this is demonic, and it's able to move through music, through portals, through black mirrors, all these types of things. And my demonic oppression came through a black mirror. If you switch off any LED screen, it's a black mirror, and they can move through it. Yeah. In that, God's grace took over. I can't explain it, but He literally stepped into my life, and He took control and took me back to South Africa. I was able to start healing. The frequencies was definitely a piece of the puzzle.
Speaking of miracles, healings, unusual miracle healings, in fact, and also their tie-in with frequencies. Here on the screen behind me, this is my friend Mike Hughes, and Mike's story. Mike took an interest. He was a successful inventor, and Mike took an interest in in artifacts in general, in lost artifacts in general, but specific focus on biblical artifacts. Now, in the course of that, Mike one of the things he enjoyed was called paramotoring, meaning that he had an engine on his back and a set of wings on his back. And he was in South America when he hit a pyramid.
So I'm looking for problems that I could try to solve. Well, for me, I was flying, I was testing actually a new type of wing on a paramotor. That's where you've got a big canopy above you and an engine on your back with a 3-foot prop. And all right, so I had some cameras on the wingtips that I was testing, and back then that was kind of a big deal, a little bitty camera and all that. But I got slammed into a pyramid in Central America. Broke this leg in 7 places, things sticking out, stuff like that. So after the 8 or 9 hour surgery in Central America, and then being flown to the US for more surgeries, and then a cage put around my leg, it turned out that I had to have some spikes and all this stuff put in to kind of regrow more bone. So they took parts from other parts of my hip and things to go ahead and kind of rebuild this, and then put skewers through my legs to kind of hold each piece of bone in place while they kind of refuse. So,
and doctors stated that he would never lead a normal life again. He would probably never walk again. If he ever did walk again, that he was going to have an incredibly difficult life ahead. In fact, it was a miracle that he was even alive at all. He had pieces of bone sticking out of him. And Mike, being an inventor, took this journey. I've been with Mike to Egypt. Mike can literally outrun me to the top of a pyramid at this point.
So I wanted to think there's got to be something, a food or something that I could take that's going to help me increase circulation to get this to heal longer or to heal faster. So I'd already done a patent on a thing called motion science, which is these little electronic discs that you'll put on your body, and they'll actually transmit in real time the motion of your body as you're moving. So you could literally record as you're walking and then see if you're improving. Well, it took about 2.5 years to be able to get started walking again because of the skewers and the cage that they had to put around my leg.
What makes this story of Mike's, where I wanted to put it in this presentation about frequencies, is because his testimony there about this incident of hitting the pyramid. Thank God for surgeons and doctors in these hours that we live in. It's actually a miracle that between two countries they can even put his leg back together where it would be a functional leg, or where it could be. But he was not supposed to ever live a normal life again, or at least that was what the medical establishment believed in two different countries. But Mike did not accept that result, and I've known Mike for a lot of years, and he's one of the most positive thinking people that I knew. Bottom line, he was stating, I will walk again. I will run again. This leg will work better than other people's legs again. That's how dedicated to it that he was. I'd also like to point out this small detail about my friend Mike Hughes that's existed ever since I've known him, and also about this man, Dr. Kyson Frank, whose office that we're at and believes he's named after the Kyson River. Dr. Kyson Frank is going to go into details about the priest's vest at the tabernacle and all of the gems or the minerals that are present on that vest, and the gold fittings that are on those, and the effect that could actually have.
Yeah, because Satan takes everything and twists it and makes it wicked or wicked. And so here's what's interesting though. So my issue with it was like, I don't really want to get into crystals, that whole thing there, and so God kind of drug me kicking and screaming into it. So, and I'm sitting there and looking at the high priest chest plate and I'm going, there's a few crystals there.
Now what he's talking about there is the high priest's ephod, the breastplate of the high priest. So the high priest would go into the heart of the tabernacle. You had the outer court, you had the inner court, and you have the Holy of Holies. And the high priest would go into the heart of the Holy of Holies. He would go in there once a year and sprinkle the blood of atonement on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant for the atonement of the sins of Israel. And this would be the breastplate, or the ephod. And it has 12 precious stones or gems on it. Each stone or gem representing one of the tribes of Israel. So we've gone from what would be lower level frequencies, which you could call demonic frequencies, or lower level frequencies, dark frequencies, all the way up to higher level frequencies, if you will, to the literal Holy of Holies itself. And I would also point out, for whatever cause that anyone wants to attribute, in the early 1900s, the cities of Spokane, Washington, Portland, Oregon, were declared as being the healthiest cities in the world because of the presence, not of John G. Lake, but because of John G. Lake, who believed that Jesus Christ had the power to heal. And he boldly proclaimed that over those areas. People came from all over, not just the country, but the world, to come to John G. Lake's healing rooms. These were the most beautiful of cities in those hours. Now, if we fast forward to today, well, these images behind me, these are commonly called tent cities. These are the same areas and locations that during the time of John G. Lake were defined as the most mesmerizing of places and healthiest cities. Now covered with needles and feces and growing garbage and drug paraphernalia all over, just littered across the ground. And even the clips that you're looking, the stock footage clips that are right on the screen, are defined as the effects of climate change. And I would submit to your hands, it may well be. Are these the effect of climate change? Or is this the effect of the spiritual condition of the area having gone from a pristine and healthy condition in the hours of John G. Lake to a lower level frequency? Just like the girl in the exorcism clips, foaming at the mouth, having gone from a pristine condition all the way down to a demonic overload. And what Dr. Kyson Frank is referring to when he talks about the breastplate, and this gold breastplate with these gems that are embedded in the breastplate. Here's an example of the high priest's breastplate right here behind me. And these are the minerals or the gems that are on that breastplate. And by the way, the occult, all things that the occult uses are borrowed. And by borrowed, I mean stolen and corrupted from things that are found in the Word of God. For example, a witch's staff or a wizard's staff. Well, that comes from Moses' staff. Birth stones, which will be a throwback to a worship or honor of all of the pagan gods or the planets. Well, those come back to this breastplate right here. And each one of the stones of this breastplate is going to be representative of one of the tribes of Israel. Here are what those gems are: sardis, topaz, carbuncle, emerald, sapphire, diamond, ligure, agate, amethyst, beryl, onyx, and jasper.
Well, here's interesting is studying that, and it's reticulated mounted. So it's not like take gold and just shove it into the gold. It's actually, the gold's wrapped around it, so the stones are actually touching it. They can't have cloth underneath it, right? It's got to touch the skin. So why is those 12 stones touching the skins wrapped in gold, which is the highest conductor of frequency, before you're allowed to go into the Holy of Holies to have that on?
Wow.
Wow, yeah. That kind of opened my eyes. I'm going,
hair stand up, man.
right? You're going, okay, Lord, there's something to that. You designed it such a way.
Researcher over here.
Yeah.
So you set her off.
Well, in Mike Yu's case, a lot of his, he didn't just believe that I'm going to walk again, or didn't just believe I'm going to do an invention. He would literally speak that, it was with words that these worlds were formed. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. But in Mike's case, he's very religious about following all sorts of Hebrew laws in his personal life. This is what he's done ever since I've known him. He, his family, his wife. I'd like to point out to you that when we're using the Torah, not Gnostic additional Jewish text, but when we go straight to the Torah, and we're looking at some of the laws, speaking of the tabernacle, some of the laws that were given to the Hebrews. Here behind me I have one example of this. This would be a red heifer sacrifice that you see on the screen behind me. And all of the ritual, so every part of the red heifer, in this case, just this one sacrifice, was to be burned completely and entirely, totally, into ashes. And then those ashes were to be taken and collected. But it's also going to play a role in a cleansing sacrifice. So after, or a cleansing ritual, so after contact with a corpse or any unclean environment, a person must be sprinkled with a liquid mixture containing the ashes of the red heifer, together with cedar and ezov, And these are alkaline plants that, when burnt, function as the key ingredients in detergent, or bottom line, this actually would make. So this ritual given for the sacrifice of a red heifer is part of a cleansing ritual, or some portion of this is going to be used as a cleansing ritual. And bottom line, if you follow these directions exactly, you're going to be cleansing the person with this mixture and then rinsing them. And these specific ingredients and instructions make not just any lye soap, but the most potent lye soap in the world. And I find it not coincidental that most all of these people in this video, whether it be my mother, whether it be the Dr. Kyson Frank, whether it be Greg Byron, or whether it be Mike Hughes, or anyone else, including Robert Agee, who we're going to look at in just a second in connection with frequencies, they're following directions that come out of these pages.
100%. Why do you think, think about it, like, who was Lucifer? He was the morning star. What did he do? He was the worship leader, they say, of heaven, right? He was a dawn. Yeah, he was a reflection. He was an amplifier. He released frequencies on earth, right? So obviously he's got full control of frequencies. If you look at the most horrendous music and stuff, like, it's frequencies.
Now, speaking of frequency testing, we started this film with my friend Robert Agee, and a frequency test is going to be done right here in these clips with my friend Robert Agee.
Parasite.
My Native American name that they've given me is Achu.
Achu?
You sneeze.
Got the Achu. Yes. I've done some parasite cleanses and some detoxes. But
Well, which parasites are we dealing with? You want to see that?
not the ones that you can see crawling out of you.
Do what?
Definitely not the ones you can see crawling out of you.
Well, we'll see what we're dealing with here. Hookworm, that's the most common one we find.
That's what I'm dealing with.
That's the one you can just get from being outside and touches your skin.
Nothing in that one.
Nothing in the bad one there. This is stuff we don't want, so.
By that's the bad one, or the bad box of frequencies, he means that those would be serious or severe or possibly terminal illnesses, I'm presuming, in that box of frequencies.
But the only one I got is hookworm. Hookworm is the most prevalent one we find. It can cause all kinds of food allergies, sensitivities. It'll affect the thyroid. It'll create dysbiosis in the gut, create anemias, all kinds of issues there.
So mine is grass. It's seasonal, so it's every spring and fall.
We go plants and pollens of the northern prairie.
It's just
Birch, cottonwood, dogwood,
it's Texas.
oak.
So I think it's ragweed.
I haven't got there yet. You're jumping ahead of me.
Oh, sorry.
Give me answers. I'm trying to do this without getting the answers here.
So he's gone through the vials of frequencies, and what Robert has reported is that he has an Indian name of Achu given to him for what he presumes are seasonal allergies. And I'm just going to play the clips on what happens next.
A little bit of the ragweed there. So next question is, so we're going to look at that there, but we're first going to look at this here. Okay, hold that for me.
Robert,
Hold your arm
describe
strong.
what's happening. Describe what's happening while he does
I've
this,
got
okay?
some hookworms in here.
Okay?
It's the frequency of the hookworm, so we're going to test him and see if he goes weak with it. Ready?
Okay.
Hold strong.
Okay.
Okay, so were you able to hold your arm up? Okay.
All right.
While holding that in your hand.
Yes.
Okay.
Hookworm.
This is a pear jam.
Okay, I gotta take this out of my hand.
I want you to hold them together.
So he
Prove it
just
out.
picked an item off of the shelf that he thinks will help with what you had in the other hand.
Yep.
Okay.
Hold, don't push down. Ready?
Okay, yep.
Now, are you able to hold your arm up strong
Yep.
with the same worm thing in your other hand?
So here's what's going to be interesting here. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to see, we're going to gamble on it and see if this works. So I'm going to do is I'm going to have you hold this whole kit here in your hand. So this is all the different frequencies of all the different plants and pollens and stuff people deal with in the Midwest.
Okay.
All right, hold your arm good and strong. Hold. Let me push down. You ready? You sure? Oh, you ready? Let's do it.
Okay, yeah.
That's really
Okay.
So I'm gonna
So
come
you
back in
couldn't
here.
hold your
I'm gonna-
So Robert, you could not hold your arm up at all with all of these frequencies of these different plants in your arm.
Yep.
Now he's put this vial of, what would this be called to you, doctor?
This is the same antiparasitic one we just dealt with. So we're seeing
Okay.
the parasites are actually affecting his histamine
The
response.
parasites from these are now in his shirt pocket.
The frequency, the remedy we put together that's going to fix the parasites is right here.
Okay.
Now again, we're dealing with the pollen, the thing that's creating a histamine response in the body.
Okay.
So we're seeing if we fix the parasite, does that fix his issues with all of the allergies as well?
Okay.
Hold your arm up good and strong. Ready? Hold.
Robert, are you holding your arm up good?
Done.
Yeah.
So that,
So
in
a
Europe,
chew is a parasite. So it needs to go a poo.
Oh, so I just take a shot of this, huh?
So yeah, you're gonna need a bottle of that to actually go
Oh,
through,
my
and it
goodness.
may take several to get through it because it takes a while to clear that one out. It's about a 3-month process.
this film is dedicated to all of the men and women in the fields of medicine and those who fight to make advances in those fields.
Right in there. So it's got some of the best healing frequencies on there, but yeah, kind of stand in front of that, that'll saturate real quick there.
Also, a very special thanks to those in the fields of holistic medicine and other fields dealing with frequencies. I hope that some of what you watched in this presentation may give you ideas for advances of medical history.
Behind you.
So, woo! I don't know if this is insistent or not, but you're a red man.
This is incredible. Wow.
Yeah, that'll really saturate in. It's good for the for hair, it's good for sleep, it's good for all kinds of things. So.
From a sheerly prophetic perspective, and what I believe here in hours of history, that I believe there are supposed to be substantial breakthroughs in all sorts of fields, in fields specifically of energy and fields of medicine. So we're heavily praying for that. The road behind me, this is the road up Pikes Peak. There are no guardrails on this road. That's Robert Agee, who is driving the truck that I'm in right there. Notice there's snow on the road. If you were to go off of this edge, you would go straight down for a long, long ways.
There's too many trees. The Pikes Peak though, it's covered in snow. So I got my snow tires on, which is good. I got my snow chains in the back. We can throw those on.
Okay.
And we're gonna do this. We're gonna go all the way up. Now my rear diff is making noises. It really hums.
This is true, by the way. You're not
This
making
is
this
true.
up.
Like between 20 and 35 miles an hour, which I think is the speed limit, it hums. So
We're gonna hear it some. All right.
I've got some sort of funny sound coming out my driver's side wheel when I turn, especially going like around a hairpin turn. It screams.
Right.
Just ignore that.
So this is the truck that we're taking up to the top of Pikes Peak. And what do they call? So on the side you've got Remnant Revolution Tour. So and that's the tour you just did.
Yeah.
And then over here we have And We Know. We drove to the top of Pikes Peak, and there's some tie-ins because Dr. Kyson Frank felt that minerals actually from these mountains in Colorado, or specifically from Pikes Peak, actually had healing properties. Waiver.
It'll be okay.
Anything you don't want to take with that?
All right. All right. Let's take a look at the.
I guess
Take a look at the chair over here.
I should take my hat.
Yeah,
So-
might want to blow off.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is what this actually looks like. And can you step on this? I want to thank you for watching this film. I thought I would go ahead and give it kind of a fun, lighthearted ending. This again is the road going up Pikes Peak, and see a guardrail there on the side, but for most of the road up it does not have guardrails.
Terrifying. We need to do it twice.
All right, bro.
It's gonna be good.
So, all right, we're gonna drop off of the edge of this thing. Here we are again. You can see the edge right there, and he was willing to drive this particular road in the snow.
What? You got faith?
Yes, I've got
But see, faith without works is dead. So we're gonna put that faith to the test.
How does that feel?
It feels good. We're gonna do it.
Nice and tight.
This is what it is. Okay, this there we go, and there went that, and here it goes.
Is there no the floor?
There's no
drop
floor.
out?
There's no floor.
Oh,
There's no floor.
no
We're gonna
floor?
go straight down. Just askew Pikes Peak, this right here where we're standing, this is in a canyon. There's actually a swing that goes over that canyon, and the ride is called the Pterodactyl.
so that thing.
Yeah, that goes out there.
Yeah, it's you're having some second thoughts, aren't you?
Well, no,
We're
man,
already
I'm
on
with
it.
you. There's
We're already
no
on
way.
it.
We're both going out of town.
Okay,
You can
and
have
there's
second, third, or fourth thoughts.
there's people down there. Here we
Get a
go.
good view of those caves over there.
We're gonna
yeah,
get
you'll
we're gonna
get
get a
that
real
first
good
picture.
view of the caves.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you to put that camera away.
Okay.
Okay, so you got a place to put that?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay.
All right, I got it.
Ready?
Yeah, no, we're ready. We're ready.
Okay.
We got 1, 2, 3.
We're just gonna lean.
We're gonna fall down.
I'd like to give a special thanks at the end of this film to Andrew Mills, also to Robert Agee, seen right here behind me, and the work that Robert Agee is doing. I'll provide links to him, as well as links to my friend Mike Hughes, who produces Rocket Man, as well as I'm going to provide links for Dr. Kyson Frank and his work.
Oh, so.
Okay, here we go, Robert. We're gonna fall down.
Whoa!
There we went. That's the way that works.
Look at that cave. Look at that.
That's unbelievable.
Is that where we're going? Oh, that's amazing.
He actually let us ride with the camera. That's actually pretty stunning, man.
Wow.
Woo!
Right there.
Yeah. All right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that it?
We're dangling.
Is that it?
I'm Trey Smith of God in a Nutshell. God bless every last one of you and your families on the other side of the screen.